This week on Sport Fishing, we're going to take you fishing on a lake that could very well be the trophy bass capital of the world, Castaic Lake, just north of Los Angeles. We'll be fishing with the bodacious bass fishermen Dan Cadota and Bob Cruppy as they share their techniques for catching the big ones.
We done it again.
Also this week, in the Galley, we'll show you a delicious Cantonese recipe for steamed fish. It's easy and a different way to prepare your fish at home.
That's delicious.
So stay with us as we share our recipe and search Castaic Lake for bodacious bass.
This week, Sport Fishing is brought to you by Turner's Outdoorsman and by Berkeley Triling, super strong fishing line.
Just north of Los Angeles off Interstate 5 lies Castaic Lake. Judging by the number of trophy bass taken off this lake over the years, Castaic can truly be considered a world-class bass lake. Two men, Dan Cadota and Bob Cruppy, have been fishing Castaic for many years and have developed a system for consistently taking large bass. Recently, they completed a videotape called Bodacious Bass, outlining their techniques to help others learn this successful system. Today, Dan and Bob have agreed to take us around Castaic Lake and share their knowledge in search of bodacious bass.
What we're going to do is I'm going to circle around. Actually, could be a number of ways we can do it. We sit on top of it and throw out. That may be the thing to do here.
So we need to have the graph here tell us exactly where to position the boat.
Right, exactly. This ridge kind of runs out from shore here, and it comes way out.
Straight out the
extends out, drops off, and then comes back up.
So it's just a continuation of the shoreline?
Right, it's a continuation of this one point. It extends pretty far out in the lake.
Oh, there's no fish showing on the meter.
You don't get much pressure here. Well, a lot of that we may not see. This is one of those spots we don't necessarily fish it because of there's fish on it. We fish it out of confidence. You know, we've caught big fish on it in the past. In fact, I think last Monday, Bob, you guys had a 13 on it last Monday. So go ahead, Bob. Go ahead and let that go.
Okay,
and we're going to run up past that spot, see where the marker buoy is here, and we're going to cast in. What we'll do is we'll pick that buoy up with our with one of the lures and bring it in, get it out of the way.
Okay, so we're dropping the anchors right now in 45 feet of water.
Right.
But
we're going to come back up on the ridge.
It's only about 10 feet.
Right. And we're going to sit in about 28, 30 feet here. We're going to throw up to the spot. I'll wait till I get over the drop on that other side before we dump that other anchor. So we'll hold coming back. And again, we'll be casting into the spot there. Okay, see it dropping off right there?
Right.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get the bow anchor here, and let's drop the bow.
Want me to grab that? Or?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and ease the two anchors down, and then what we'll do is I'll use the engines here to back down. So Bob. Yeah. Okay, go ahead and put them down. Bob, go ahead.
How can we have two anchors on this?
Oh, it holds better in the wind. It's like instead of using chain, you know, a lot of times the forward anchor will hold the back anchor down. You'll hold a lot better, particularly when it blows. Allows us to fish in conditions where you can't normally hold anchor. And particularly this time of year when it's cold, you want the minimal amount of swaying. You don't want to be swinging around because the metabolism of the water is cold.
So
Your
once we
crawdad has to be
tie up both these anchors, we'll have basically just a steady platform.
right, and what we want to do is be directly outside the buoy.
So that buoy there is the actual high spot.
Yep.
Well, Dan, this spot that you've anchored us over, why are we fishing this? I know it's a high spot, but
Well, over the years, Bob and I have caught a number of big fish off this spot. It's more, we call it a confidence spot. You know, we don't necessarily meter the fish to catch these fish. We trust the spots that have a certain particular type of structure to hold the fish. And so we fish these, like we say, out of confidence. We situate on it, so we're now sitting outside throwing into it, and we're working it downhill. And we trust that the fish were inside of us this time of year rather than particular time of year where the fish are just coming out of deep water. We'd be sitting up on top of this high spot throwing out to where we're sitting here.
now we've positioned the boat, over 45 feet of water, but the structure that we're fishing is only about 12 feet deep.
Well, where we're sitting right here is 26 feet. And we're throwing up to 18 feet. So we're working a section of water from the high spot, from the drop off from the high spot on the ledge here, where it drops off on 3 corners.
Bob, a lot of our viewers, I'm sure a lot of them haven't fished this sort of fishing where we're fishing live bait crawdads on the bottom. Maybe you can explain to our viewers the technique here.
Well, it's pretty much like working any kind of a bottom bait, like a plastic worm or pig and jig. You want to work it real slow. You want to maintain control and contact with the bottom. If you think you're working it slow, you need to work it slower. Each retrieve should take anywhere from probably 10 to 12 minutes from the time you throw your bait out, let it sink to the bottom, and work it back to the boat. The slower the better.
So you
Crawdad.
just want that crawdad to bounce from stone to stone or branch to branch?
Yeah, they crawl, so and they don't crawl very fast. So you can imagine then how slow you need to work it. But you want to keep them moving along the bottom, otherwise the crawdad will tend to want to get to a place of safety in between the rocks and the shrubs and stuff that are down there, because he knows that out in that deeper water he's victim to being consumed by these bass that he knows that are out there looking for him. That's Mother Nature doing its homework.
You know, most anglers will fish all their life hoping to get a 10-pound bass. But Bob, I know you've caught at least 1 or 2 20-pounders. Can you explain to our viewers what it was like to hook that 22-pounder?
It was actually 2 years ago this month of March.
And how many 20-pound fish have you landed?
I've got 2 over 20.
2 over 20?
One was 21 and one was 22 even.
Do you have any idea how many fish over 10 you've landed?
76.
76 bass over 10 pounds?
Yeah.
Well, my biggest fish is about 8 pounds.
Yeah, and you were with
And I
me
caught
when
that
you
with
caught
you.
it.
Yeah, I remember. We was on this spot. The fish jumped before Dan even realized it was hooked. And
But
fish
you did-
came out of the water with a line hanging out of it.
But I did it well.
Yeah,
You did it
you
well.
did great. Perfect. Well, Dan, the crawdad's really thumping around here.
That's the
Down, I
crawdad
think-
doing this?
Is crawdad doing that? Oh shoot! I just got bit.
Get him. All right. Get him, Dan.
Hey, little guy.
All right.
Oh, little Castaic bass here.
Okay, it's still a bass.
Yeah.
Well, you got him right on the lip there.
Yeah, right on the lip. Neat part about quick setting. Well, we're gonna put them in the live well here. Put them down in the well so we don't spook the spot here. Keep them in the live well so we don't spook the spot. And when we get ready to leave, we'll let the fish go.
Before we leave, we'll actually, I'm getting bit. I'm getting bit. Come on.
Yeah, you sure are, Dan. I'll be darned. Look at that. Oh! Boy, Every
Come on, man.
bait here. Got to get back in here.
Good thing we put that one. Oh, there
back
he
in.
goes. Good thing we put that one in the live well.
Oh.
Oh, a little bit bigger bass.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, another Castaic bass.
All right.
On the spot.
I'll get back in when it looks like it's bite time here.
There we go. Another Castaic bass. Now,
If you need,
I don't think we need to compare those two bass right away, do we?
No. Neither of them are really a bodacious bass. They're not what we're looking for, but we'll take them.
Yeah.
We need to warm up a little bit here.
And normally we would just release this fish right now, but like Dan said, we want to put them in the well for a second, and when we leave the spot, we'll release them. That's a nice bass there.
All right. That's something Roland would say. That's a nice bass in any lake.
Yeah. Okay, Dan, for the type of equipment that we need for this type of fishing, I think it seems pretty simple. You can either go with some sort of graphite sensitive rod and your typical bait caster type reel.
Well, they've got to be, to fish it effectively, you have to fish with the best equipment, because what we're doing is we're throwing a very, very light bait. These crawdads are very light. And to fly line these things, your reels, regardless what type of reel you have, they have to be finely tuned so you can make that cast. And a lot of times we're making that cast into a light breeze too, so they have to be able to do that. And your rods correspondingly so. You want them to complement the reels. You want to have them kind of as light as you can, because you're going to be holding them in your hands all day. So you want the equipment to complement itself.
Okay, now the terminal gear that we're going to be using is pretty basic. We just have a live bait hook.
Right. What we're using are these offset steelhead salmon type hooks. This is what we've used for years. They're extremely sharp, and they have to be to penetrate the mouth, the mouth on these bass. And probably one of the most asked about questions is how we hook these hooks into a crawdad. And so that's what we're going to do here.
All right, we have all the crawdads in here.
Right.
We have a lot of crawdads.
There's a lot of different crawdads. What we like to do is it's like anything, on the boat, I used to tell my passengers to really look over the baits and choose your bait very carefully. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go through them. A lot of times we want to get the ones that are trying to pinch you. You want to get the volunteers. There's a time of year. There's a time of year they'll eat the bigger ones. There's a time of year they eat the smaller ones. You kind of, like the fly fishermen say, you got to match the hatch. Now this is a smaller bait here. And what we'll do is we want to put this hook, put the beak, come up through the bottom, right about even with the eyes, right through this beak, it's a little exoskeleton. You want to drill it right through about eye level.
Triangle.
If you put it too far back, you brain hook it, and then there's history, but you want to keep them right about that.
Okay, we have that pinned on, and then the only other terminal gear we have is a little split shot.
Right, and Bob and I really like the split shots, because you get a direct fill. Over the years, we played around a lot with like the Carolina type rigs, and you don't get as direct feel as you do with the split shots. They keep you in contact with the bottom more. When you feel the crawdad respond, and this is what the main difference is in our type of fishing, is that when there's a fish down there, our baits will respond to the stimulus down there, to the fish down there.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and toss this one out there and see if I can get me a fish. You guys got your baits in the water. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more action.
The Galley, recipes and tips for preparing your fish at home. This week, the Galley is brought to you by the San Diego Sport Fishing Council.
We have something a little bit different for you today in our Galley segment. In the past, we showed you everything from Japanese dishes to Cajun dishes. Well, today we're going to show you Chinese technique for cooking fish. And standing next to me is the owner of Paul's Kitchen in Monterey Park, Donald Yee. And Donald, what are we going to be doing here today?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to introduce our head chef, it's Ken Chin right here.
Hello, Kenta.
Okay, and he'll come up here to start to prepare the fish
Okay.
to cook.
And the first dish we're going to do, I know you mentioned it's going to be a steam dish.
Steam fish, right.
Okay. So he starts off by cutting.
Cutting all the fins,
Okay.
cutting the dorsal fins.
Okay.
What he's cutting here is making easier the heat going to penetrate. So as far as the whole fish going to be evenly cooked.
And now I noticed on this fish how clear the eyes were and stuff. That means this is a very fresh
Fresh fish, exactly.
Okay.
So a lot of time when people don't know, when they go to fine fish, the first thing that you should look at the eyeball. If the eyeball is cloudy and so on, and you look at the fish itself, there's no slime in there, then that fish is not fresh.
Okay. Okay, so now we got our fresh fish ready.
Yes.
The fish has been cut up. It's already been cleaned and everything.
Yes.
Now what's the next step?
Okay, next step, we're gonna put them in a steamer.
Okay. So our chef's gonna put it in the steamer for us. Boy, this is a large steamer.
Yes. What I'm doing right now, you put in some light soy sauce, and then some dark soy, a little bit of black soy sauce. Seasoning oil, and some white pepper. Slightly a little bit of Ajinomoto. So mix them up.
And this will be added onto the
Yes,
fish after
this
it's
is
done?
after the fish is done. This soy sauce poured over the fish.
Okay, no
And
other...
after that, then you got green onion, ginger, cilantro, put it on the top.
Okay, so the fish is done steaming.
Yes, that's been done.
Now what are we doing, Tom?
So this, the last, putting all these ingredients in there, like I mentioned, got ginger, got green onion, got Chinese parsley. Then you pour the sauce over. That's the seasoning.
Okay.
All right, the last step, and put some hot peanut oil. The reason it is, the oil bring out all the ingredients, the ginger, the onion, whatever, the flavor, is gonna come out.
Okay, so this is our steamed dish.
Yes.
We start out with basically a rockfish,
Yes.
fresh rockfish, and then, like you said, you cut it, and then we put the ingredients on top of it, and we let it cook for what, 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Let me try a little piece of that.
Again, you gotta dip in the sauce. Dip
Oh,
in the
dip in
sauce.
sauce.
That's where
That's delicious.
it's not. You know, no other artificial thing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Good.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome,
Donald.
Dan. Good.
Thank you very much. And for those of you that have never tried a Chinese dish like this, I highly recommend you come down to Monterey Park. Remember, it's Paul's Kitchen on Atlantic Boulevard. This is good. Okay, well, the bite slowed down a little bit, so what we're going to do is go on and move to the next spot. But like we told you, we've been putting the fish we caught this spot here in the live well. And what Dan's doing here, he's digging down there, going to start grabbing them up, and we're going to release them. And we were serious about what we meant about wanting to just hold the fish while we're fishing this one spot. And once we were done fishing it, we're going to let them go. So we want to show you the proof here.
Okay, well, it's going to be a bear grabbing them all, getting them all out. But we're going to start letting them go one by one. There's a nice little
Nice
fish.
little Castaic
We want
bass.
to put them back on the spot. Either swim off. There she goes. Bob, we got a bunch of them on that side too.
Oh, we sure do.
It's going to be a bear getting all these things. I'll tell you, they're hot and feisty.
I got one right here. Let's go ahead and let this guy go.
Wow. She up high?
She's coming.
Oh, good. She's clear. She's clear.
She may be clear.
She's
I'm
clear.
not sure.
She's clear. You'd feel it. You'd feel it. She's clear. She's clear.
Dan.
All right. So what she's?
It's a good fish.
Yeah.
Take and drag like crazy.
I love it.
Rod tip bent maxed.
It's out in deep water, Bob. I think we got
Goes
her.
off the other edge.
Bob, get down. We got the anchor. You're going to be under the anchor here.
She's coming back the other way.
All right,
Go
Bob.
ahead. Let's do it right here. She's coming up. She's right here.
is.
Oh, good.
Oh!
Yeah.
We done it again. Hey,
I was
you know
worried
what?
about that other
Hey,
edge over there.
you want to believe? You know, when we came up to this spot, we both thought we were both in sync again. I can't believe it.
We looked at it.
That's great.
We looked at
Hey,
it. We said,
This is our
This
fish
is
over
the
10,
spot.
baby.
All right. Well, this is the difference between the bass that we caught earlier and a bodacious bass.
yeah, where we go.
Oh!
And hey,
Look where that hook is.
Barely
Perfect.
in there.
I told you I got nailed on the sink.
Well,
I said my spools just started turning a little bit by itself, and these little crawdads don't pull.
nice fish. Jesus.
Let's see how big that thing is.
Nice fish. Look at that baby.
That's beautiful.
Oh, she's over 10. She's over 10.
Yep.
Let's get her in the live well.
Put in the live well. There might be another
Let's
one
get her
here.
in there.
Doesn't get much better than this. Stay tuned. We're going to put this fish in the live well. We're going to hold it till a little bit later. There might be more fish here. And stay tuned. We'll be right back with a lot more action from Castaic. Congratulations, Bob. That was a great fish.
I'm bit, Danny, under the boat.
All right.
Nice fish. That's a nicer fish. Maybe she might come up and jump.
back this way, bud.
Oh, here she comes. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. There she is.
Oh, look at the size of that one.
Deeper water fish.
This might be another 10-pounder. It looks like a 10-pounder.
It's a nice fish. All right.
All right, Bob.
That's a nice fish.
Congratulations. Hey, Dan, let's get
It's a
over
deeper
here.
water fish, so I think that we should just release it right away.
All right.
Okay? That's what we like to do. We don't even...
See the
Yeah.
coloring on it? You can tell by the coloring. They're a little lighter color. It's the only chance they got to survive a lot of times. Take a chance of messing up. Here's one of the chances where.
There she goes.
There she goes.
All right. Thanks, Bob. That was great. That's your second 10-pounder today. Dan, thanks a lot for coming out. Well, I'm Dan Hernandez, hoping you enjoyed this week's episode of Sport Fishing. We had a great time out here with these two guys, Bob Cruppy, Dan Cadota. If you see the video in the store, Bodacious Bass,
Bodacious bass.
make sure you pick up a copy. You can learn all the techniques that we use today here at Lake
It's a
Castaic.
90-minute video, and you'll really enjoy it.
That was a great time. Well, I hope you join us next week when we go looking for more of the best in sport fishing. Thanks, guys.
All right.